started from my basement as a contractor and eventually grew it to 18 states and 173 million in sales. Booyah, baby! I just think that the vague term negotiated claim is being misused to make people think suddenly you can't act as an American citizen or entrepreneur because that violates the Constitution.
And I looked at him and said, look, if you change this plan, you're going to have to deal with the repercussions down the road. See, that's when I got in as a sales guy doing this, knocking doors.
What do we do? Like, how do we grow? We had no idea.
What you've created here now is like unbelievable.
And everybody's ignoring what we saw with the 95% of property casualty claims, which are $10,000 claims on average.
Exactly.
Booyah, baby!
This is our country. This is our liberty.
Hey guys, Anthony Delmedico, SVG Storm Ventures Group here live in the SpeakEasy. Well, one of our speakeasies, because the other one's a bar.
Yeah.
I thought we'd do it here today in the new set. This is actually gonna be a film set. Got Jonathon Sherwood. You guys might know him as Roofers Helping Roofers. He does a lot of coatings out there as a turnkey subcontractor nationwide, commercial and residential. Now, the last time you were on the speakeasy, we were in my old office at a little tiny bar, I believe it was 2018.
Yeah, actually, that one, and then we had one more couple years later, and then this one today. So it's been a little bit of a we've had a little journey together already.
So
right?
we kind of like, you know, you see how we evolve and change over 4 years. I just got uglier and older. You got a little prettier. We got a better haircut anyways. Last time I saw your hair was different.
Yeah, it was longer. It's like a little fro.
No, you had that cool hat on. I was talking about your hat. You had the logo up.
Oh yeah, that was the first one.
Yep. The first one.
Yeah.
So tell us, Jonathon. You know, it's been 4 years, 2 years. You still doing the coatings thing? How's Roofers Helping Roofers working? What's going on with you?
Yeah, everything's been really well. We've been very fortunate. You know, the Roofers Helping Roofers is a commercial coaching and consulting platform. Specializes in commercial sales, strategic social media marketing, has a file vault. We basically lay out the playbook so everybody can learn from the dumb tax that I've spent and they can just scale from it, and it becomes a situation where the deals are theirs to lose, you know, because we set them up how to do it appropriately. I think one of the things I like the most about it is we get to cultivate the relationship with the contractor where we get to celebrate their wins with them. And we spend quite a bit of time in a quick start with them, and then they have access to us for the year. So that's been really good. Enjoy doing that.
So you actually, I didn't know that. I thought you were more of a turnkey sub, but you're saying you also operate in a B2B mindset to go infuse the entrepreneur or the roofing contractor so-and-so with the coatings or foam business model to help them be a successful coatings contractor.
So what happened is we were doing just Roofers Helping Roofers, which was just assisting with the project procurement and the fulfillment with the turnkey. And in that, we decided just to go ahead and give out the whole playbook. And that's where the coaching and consulting platform came. And then we still have the other side where we help with the procurement. We'll help them close the deals, put on their shirt, and then the fulfillment of it. And we do some labor-only stuff because we get some guys that are duplicating their stuff because the reality of it is business. They're stealing shamelessly. They're going to duplicate what we're doing. They're not going to need us any longer. Then we move on to the next guy that we want to build up. So when they want to do just labor only, we're able to do that for them. That way they can get their rebates and their certifications, and we just help them grow. So we're just kind of there in all different avenues just to help sure that other contractor's getting where he needs to be.
That's cool, man. That's a lot like we're doing with Spencer and emergency mitigation, to bring the business model to the entrepreneur. And or it could be a sub if they want to just do a turnkey operation as well. And I know you're working with, I think, Jason Berg on Mall Millennia.
Been working
it's Orlando, right?
Yep, been working with Bergie on several large projects. We just wrapped up one for one of his large portfolio customers, Assemblies of God. It was in Antioch Street in Baton Rouge. It was on the outer bands of Ida. We just wrapped up that strip mall for him. We're working on the Mall Millennia with him. He's always got things shaking and moving, so he definitely keeps us busy.
Nice. Well, I'd like to announce that we're going to have Jonathon Sherwood. You know, usually we like to get some different MCs at the Wind and Storm Conference. So Jonathon's going to be one of our MCs. I think Elizabeth down in South Florida is going to be another one. I mean, you really need 4 because nobody can stand up there for 3 days. And last year we had Mike Holmes, Kimba, and a couple other folks.
Yeah.
And so thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
A lot of talking up on stage. You certainly can't. I can't do that and run a show. It's too hard. So we always bring on different MCs. So Like to congratulate Jonathon for that, and then you're also going to be joining us on our little second entourage out to the Appalachian Mountains, which I'll talk about here in a minute.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went out, guys. We went out. As you guys know, there's a nasty, nasty flood out in eastern Kentucky. The Appalachian Mountains, you see behind me here. The waters recede a little bit from what you see there. That was we were there right on the tail end of that last week. We got in. Some areas still look like that. One of the challenges there is, you get into. I almost have to draw it out for you to understand it. But if you know where Lexington, Kentucky is here, major city for that area. Then you got Knoxville. You got Knoxville, Tennessee here. And if you go up the highway, there's a highway that runs, it's about a 2-3 hour stretch. Right in the middle of that is London, Kentucky. And that was kind of our staging ground. We went in with Doug, with USDR, United Survivors Disaster Relief Fund, my partner Fahad on the solar side, Spencer Chambers 911, brought in his big emergency mitigation rig. We thought there'd be a dry-in opportunity to help some people. Mm-hmm. And really go in there and get water and food to people for the first couple days. It was about a 1.5-2 hour drive, a lot of small towns. Then you get into what they call the Appalachian Mountains, which go between 5 states. There's about 20 million Appalachians, they call them, between 5 states. This area in eastern Kentucky was where the flood was real bad. You see on the screen behind me. Mm-hmm. And it was interesting. You get in there, and there's these roads that just go off in the woods, off a road that already went off in the mountains. They call them hollers. And that's where we went in with the Hummer. And those people are trapped because the roads, as you can see in some of the areas, the moisture collapsed the roads. So when you saw the media going there for 3 days, like you always do, Biden was there the same day we got there. They're way back here somewhere in a safe zone. They weren't in here, but these are collapsed roads going in. Start especially in here because they don't really take care of the roads. Wow. And so the problem was getting water and food in those people. So they weren't at risk of dying in a flood at that point. They're at risk of not getting food and supplies because nobody could drive in. Yeah. So we were the first ones they saw. We were out there and just a fun experience. Now that's a whole new area, for the Wind and Storm Conference. Traditionally, when we started Wind and Storm, remember back in the day, it was all about roofing and storm restoration, which is a lot of hail and hurricane. So we've always brought a lot of roofing and a hodgepodge of restoration contractors. 2 years ago, we brought solar in, and now this is going to be the new thing this year along with solar, is emergency mitigation, which we've had those guys there like TW, Restoration Control, Restoration 911, but it was never a huge part of the show. This is a $20 billion with a B segment of the 126 billion was paid out in property casualty claims last year. 20 billion was emergency mitigation. Wow. And so it's a big sector. I didn't realize how big it was. So getting a bird's eye view, jumping in here, I mean, that's some really bad devastation. Unfortunately, those people, most of them, especially ones out in the mountains where we were, they don't have insurance. Yeah. So congratulations on joining us on our return trip. Yeah. On your birthday weekend of all time, September 9th, going back in there and we're gonna be donating a modular home to one lady. Can't help everybody, obviously. We can do what we can as an industry, but we got about 20 CEOs. We're gonna be going into London and then carting them into by Humvee and big utility vehicle into this area so they can see the devastation of flood and ecological problems and really experience a culture that's almost like time and land forgotten almost. The Appalachian culture is really interesting, and if they don't fix some of those problems in the roads and some of the mining and the forest industries that left behind the bad excavation, which led to a lot of water runoff and bad roads, and now they're not cleaning out of the debris out of the streams, really led to this increased flood problem. It's a lot of ecological stuff plus a lot of rain. So we're going to capture all that as part of a documentary into the flood area. That's going to be pretty cool. And then we got 20 CEOs and yourself coming out to help one lady. We brought a lot of food and water out there. We helped one lady at least get a new home that didn't have insurance. So that's going to be a good deal. And wind and storm isn't just about hail and hurricanes, and it's about the whole thing. You got floods, hurricane, fire, tornadoes, and it's not always about insurance claims either. We focus a lot of time in our conference talking about insurance claims and scaling our company, but sometimes you got to bring up the plight of the real storm victims. Yeah. So I literally just got back. Last night we flew out on Sunday night. I can't remember, Friday morning. So we just got back late last night from the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, they're almost a week.
And dude, let me tell you, I've been to a lot of parts of this country, the ghetto, the high-end areas, different areas. I've never been in the Appalachian Mountains. It's like going back in time. It's a different culture. People are independent. Some of them don't have electricity. Some don't have addresses. Some of them don't have cell phone service. Some of them do. But a lot of times you go in there thinking the word hillbilly or poor.
Yeah.
It's a lot of white people, poor white people.
Yeah.
It's the way they live. They choose to live that culture. They live off the land, some of them. Some of them build their own homes. Some of them have modular homes. But they choose to live that way, and they don't, and when you get in there, it first seems a little scary, but they're actually friendly people.
Yeah.
But not having cell phone service, not having GPS, not having that, for 3 days when you're in there, except for when we got back out late at night, we got back to London, then our stuff worked. Mm-hmm. It was like therapy out there, man. You're in the mountains, you're helping people, fresh air. You're seeing some of the most beautiful, most beautiful scenery in America. The mountains, the greens, minus the devastation, mind you. But just a beautiful, beautiful area.
It is.
Yeah. Different culture of people I didn't know existed. So it was historical education for me about the Appalachians. Mm-hmm. And then just meeting different people out there that needed help was fun. We were out there at night delivering water and food and different things in a Hummer, and then it broke down at night. We got stuck in a river. I mean, it was everything that could go wrong happened. But
saw the Hummer on Facebook. It didn't look like it was going anywhere.
But we're back, we're back. It's Friday now. We're going through a little transition, being back here in the real world. But your problems don't seem so big. When you're out there dealing with that, and you come back here, all the things you thought were like stressful.
I like that you said that because I spoke with you briefly last night as we were setting this up, and you mentioned how the problems that you have here don't seem so big, and we have a saying for that we call those quality problems. Like you and I, we have quality problems. Something happened at the office. Oh, somebody owes me some money.
Somebody quit. Somebody got fired.
Yeah, these guys, that's real problems.
Yeah,
it's real problems. So I think that's cool that you identified that.
Yeah.
The difference between the quality problem and the real problem.
Well, I was a little stressed out about a whole bunch of different things going in there, between business and personal. As soon as I got out there, then being disconnected.
Yeah.
Just for a day. I mean, totally, there's nothing you can do. It's disconnected and then dealing with other people's real problems, which are much larger than mine. I came out of it was exhausting but refreshing. I probably slept 8 hours in the last 3 days.
Yeah, we have the ability to solve ours. Yeah. Theirs is like, I really don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, but what's interesting about them is they didn't look, they were in shock, especially people that lost loved ones in there and stuff like that, and they were sad, but they didn't act like victims. They didn't act like they're like, well, it's Mother Nature, it's something we got to deal with. Mm-hmm. If I can't get into town, I'll go hunt some food. There wasn't a victimization thing at all. In fact, they were not asking for anything. Some people didn't even want us to come near their hollers or their areas. But for the most part, very friendly people, very independent, and they take care of their own. So I was, you learn something new. I thought I knew everything about this country. That's a culture there. Mm-hmm. And it's a culture I think that our documentary is going to cover when we finish this, not just the flood, but the culture and history of the people. I just didn't know it was there. I mean, you hear stories and stuff like that. Usually it's stereotypical, about hillbillies or the movie Deliverance, which probably put a bad light on the area as far as, I don't know if you ever saw that old movie in the 1970s.
I know what you're talking about, but I've never seen it.
Look, there's a whole culture of strong, independent people there. During the Civil War, thousands of them come down out of the hills because their supply lines are broken. They're starving to death. And then I think it was President McKinney, for the first time, kind of acknowledges this whole culture of people up in the Appalachians. And they were supposed to do something for him. Well, he got assassinated a week later, so they got ignored again. And then Lyndon Johnson in the 60s went up there and did a media thing and said he was going to rebuild this community and help them. Nothing ever happened. So over the last couple hundred years, this whole culture of Appalachians has a repeat theme of being ignored and now abused in the last probably 100 years by coal, timber that's gone in there and did different things and excavated and probably didn't reforest properly and didn't take care of the roads, and they took a lot of money out of that land and left the people there with some things that have an long-term ecological effect, and some of that led to the flooding that you see. And I didn't know this till I got out there. You start learning by talking to people why the streams, when they stopped removing debris out of the streams as a routine maintenance, city county ordinance or whatnot, that also led to debris not flowing and an increased perpetual for flooding. So, and the roads not being taken care of properly, so those caved in. We were driving in places again, one of the reasons you couldn't get back there is because half the road was caved in. Now most people wouldn't drive through there. We did, you know, because we're a little crazy. But we drove in there and got to those people, and nobody was there. There was no search and rescue out there. Now I know they went in with Black Hawk helicopters and did the initial flood search and rescue, but I expected to see National Guard Humvees and people back there along with us in what you call these hullers or hollow areas in the mountains, and there was nobody there. We're the first ones that they've seen. That means, you know, there's a breakdown there and a follow-up, because it's not just the flood risk is gone, but it's now the people that can't get out to like back to London or even out to this area where there's some small old gas stations, small towns where they could possibly get resupplied. The people out there, some of those can't, you know, especially the older folks, they just can't get in. So, but there's water and food drops and church drops, stuff like that. But you know, for medical emergency stuff, that'd still be an issue. So we're gonna go back in there on, you know, that Friday, September 9th. Hopefully some of that's been improved and really put a media spotlight. We had national, local press coming in, 20 CEOs like yourself come in and really put the media, the social media spotlight back on this community and share with them what's going on in terms of ecological flood devastation, all that kind of stuff. But you know, all that kind of ties in to the Wind and Storm Conference. You know, again, it's not always about hurricanes, hail, and tornadoes. That's what I'm used to. There's also other things, and so this has all been a learning experience for me. And as we launch, you know, our new course in emergency mitigation with Chambers 911, Spencer Chambers out of Dallas, who's big in the emergency mitigation space. I think we're going to open that sector up to more entrepreneurs that want to learn how to get into this business and help communities rebuild. Now, in a community like this, you're not going to make a lot of money. A lot of these people don't have insurance, but it's a hell of a learning opportunity. They still got a demo. A lot of those guys come together and do demo on their own as a community, but they don't, you know, they don't know the dangers of black mold out there and stuff like that. There's people in there still living in black mold from we saw, and you'll see that in the documentary that comes out. So
yeah, we're a big fan of EMS. We've actually been going really heavy on it. You know, we have that national high pressure fluid company and do a lot of spray polyurethane foam, and FEMA's approved that several years ago as a EMS tool. So we love to just get out there and start spraying it down. We'll go over dead pigeons, birds, whatever's going on.
Is that like is it considered a temporary?
Yeah, it's going to be a temporary. Absolutely.
And what, 1 year, 5 year, 10 year? Or just...
You know, most of the time you're just putting down a 1/2 inch soa foam, maybe an inch, going over everything. If it doesn't have any type of coating, doesn't have any type of UV protectant, so it's going to start to burn up. Sometimes we'll put a light 5 mil primer on there.
So that's an option in lieu of, let's say, shrink wrap or
loose
obviously you're not going to put tarps all over a
loose laid TPO.
Okay.
For your low slope systems. Yeah. Loose laid TPO. It's an option.
TW does a lot of loose laid TPO.
Yeah, he uses loose laid TPO and SPF and gets the roof wrap stuff with Larry. But yeah, mitigation, I recommend the contractors go heavy on that, because I mean, let's look at it from a business avenue, right? You're getting high dollar per square foot for a non-warrantable temporary solution. Everybody's worried about getting the claim, right? Everybody wants to get the claim, everybody wants to build the building back up, everybody wants to do the roof. First of all, it takes forever to even get there. I'd rather go in there, do as much EMS as possible, and maybe I can come back and deal with some of that stuff later, but why not get the high dollar per square foot on a non-warrantable solution that's temporary, get paid right away and be out of there?
Well, is that considered, that's not considered licensed roofing per se in Florida, correct? Or some of the license states?
I'm not sure about Florida, but yeah.
Yeah, because you're not tearing off the roof.
Yeah, you're not. So basically the way they look at it, municipalities, is you're not filling any landfills with debris. You're doing preventable maintenance appressure, so there's
you're not doing any tear off.
intrusion.
What kind of prep work's required for that? Anything?
What we may do is just move a few things out of the way, but you're not pressure washing the existing system to promote positive adhesion. Foam's actually heated, burns the surface, it immediately will cure. So we're just moving a few things out of the way, large logs, different types of larger debris, and the rest of the stuff, like I was saying, rodents, birds and stuff, spray right over.
Now a lot of guys, you know, I first in 2010, I don't even know this, but a massive hailstorm hit here.
Yeah.
October 20th, 2010. And it hit a lot of the shingle roofs on the west side, tile roofs over here in the Scottsdale Paradise Valley. Maybe 1 out of 50 got replaced. Not many, but the 60% of the flat roof market here in Phoenix, Scottsdale is foam. You probably know this.
Yeah.
It's weird because you go to Tucson, it's all coatings or it's not a lot of foam. It's your regular coatings. But here
usually an elastomeric acrylic's what they're known for out here.
Yeah,
that way they can keep it going every 10 years.
Here's a lot of foam and then elastomeric coating on top of the foam.
Yeah.
And so when we kind of dominated and got, let's say, saturated in the shingle market over there, we started realizing there's a lot of these warehouse roofs and these storage facilities, all this around here had a lot of foam. And that hail, even 1 inch hail with a little bit of wind velocity, you can crack that elastomer coating, allow that foam to get wet. And we saw, we spent the next 6 months. Of course, we did turnkey sub to a local foam guy here.
Yeah.
But we were getting $220 a square on each so many PLS of the elastomer coating.
The mill thickness.
The mill thickness, yeah. The
DFT,
MLS,
dry film thickness. Yeah.
And some of them had double layers and triple layers, and then 4 inches of foam. And so we all kinds. Sometimes we would scarify, and sometimes be a complete replacement. That's a good market here. If it ever hails again. Now it doesn't hail in Arizona
This is
very
the
often.
foam capital of the nation.
Yes.
It's Arizona.
Absolutely.
We also call it the home of the skinny inch. You get on some of these ones and it's just like foam direct to lumber, and it's real light in the applications. They call it the home of the skinny inch.
But then we got into. I remember going down to Mesa on some insurance adjustments, and it was marginal.
Yeah.
Your sales guys always marginal hail. They're like, oh yeah, the whole thing's got to be replaced. The adjuster would go out and turn them down, second adjustment, and then usually the sales manager, GM, or the owner, me, sometimes we would go on to bigger, especially if they're bigger. And I'm meeting the adjuster out there, there's some splatter on events and all that. I'm looking at this, and I looked at him and said, you're right, this whole thing doesn't need to be replaced, because I'm looking at liability. Tear off the roof. They're running, I think this is a grocery distribution center. So it didn't need to be replaced. It was damaged. And I said, why don't we agree to recoat the roof, 10-year labor warranty? Adjuster goes, you'll do that? And he shook my hand. He goes, done. It's like that. So the claim went from $3 million on a full R&R to about $800,000, $900,000 on a recoat. But the truth between you and I, that was fine, because it wasn't damaged enough for replacement. I know everybody wants to replace those roofs, but here's the truth, and he knows what I'm talking about. That $3 million total re-roof, you got liability anytime you open up a roof. You got a grocery distribution center underneath. That could be liable, so there's going to be a damn good reason for it. And then the profit margin on that's probably 25, 30% on Exactament. On that coatings, didn't have to tear out the roof. Could start the job in 3 weeks instead of 6 months. Profit margin about 60, 70, 75% versus the re-roof, which was a smaller problem. There's a lot more liability. Now, if it really needs to be roofed, we're great, but some of these guys need to go out and learn how to suggest, maybe we can recoat this. You got a 10-year labor warranty, and now I can start the job here in a reasonable amount of time. It's a win-win-win. Customer gets a 10-year labor warranty. That was the one at the time. Yours might be different. The adjuster feels like he won because he just cut the initial claim down by 2/3, and you're walking away with a job you can start in a reasonable amount of time, make some money.
And we have a mutual friend, and every time him and I, Jason Berg, we talk about this, it always comes up. That's a cost-effective building solution, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any loss of business. You're not pulling off the roof. Liability skimmed down. We're going to waterproof it and envelope it, make it monolithic, cost-effective building solution.
Yeah. Not every job needs to be re-roofed. Now,
especially with volatility of materials these days. You could be waiting forever to get the work done.
I do remember when I was a sales guy, I thought every job needed to be re-roofed.
Yeah.
What do you mean there's collateral damage there? But that coatings is, guys watching this right now, check out his program, because what you're going to find is, on these large loss ones, some of them should go to litigation, appraisal, and public adjusting because they deserve to be re-roofed. But what if you met them in the middle and provided a recoat opportunity where the customer still gets a labor warranty? You can start the job a lot faster. If you don't know how to do it, you call Jonathon. He'll do it for you, or he'll show you how to do it through his platform. You might find that things move a little faster in a large loss world if you at least explore this area as a potential revenue center in your company. So, well, I'll tell you what, we're looking forward to having the Wind to Storm Conference is going to be in Fort Lauderdale, March 15th, 16th, and 17th on purpose.
Yeah.
People are like, why do you guys do it in March? I'm like, well, if you do it because I was a contractor, so I just know. In December, in January, December, you're wrapping up your receivables, so you can maybe take some time off in the winter, hopefully. You're winding down for the holidays, and you want to go spend some time with your family. In January, you got New Year's Eve. February, like in Minnesota, the snow's still there, but it's not, end of February, it's starting to thaw. March is when you really got to start thinking of getting your shit together. It's spring storm season starting. A lot of times April, May, June for the Midwest, maybe late March for a place like Texas. So that March month is always a favorite of mine to get guys together, guys and gals, general contractors, roofing contractors, restoration contractors, solar dealers, emergency mitigation contractors, everybody in this space that provides a value proposition to a property owner is welcome at the conference, and we're excited about it.
Yeah,
Excited to have you as an MC.
I'm super excited to actually MC. You know, we were talking earlier how not last time, but the first time I was here was 2018. And that's when I was just like everybody else, and I was just a contractor, a sales guy. And I look at to where I've evolved now, and I think the thing that I like...
you were a sales guy working for a company out of Dallas there.
Yeah, J&T Developers. Yep. And I had owned a roofing company in Denver that I had ended up selling to the regional operations manager, John Mansville, but I had doing commercial in the Dallas market, and I was just a sales guy. But the thing that I like the most about this is to watch where this platform has actually helped me evolve to. You know, we have a crazy industry.
Hey, 'cause you said Gary Vee had an impact on
Yeah,
you.
Gary Vee had a huge impact. All of my content was Gary Vee. Document what you're doing, give away value for free. And it works. It works. I'm living proof that it works. And that was just me sitting in there and being one of those 1% that one time in Las Vegas saying, I really don't want to be stuck anymore and I'm hungry. And listening to the man and then applying
2018.
2018.
Yeah. Oh.
And the thing that I like the most is to be able to come back to this conference as an MC, to have multiple businesses for everything that's evolved. And I'm saying that because
He scaled it. He's scaling it.
If it happened to me, it can happen to anyone. But here's the thing that I want to mention. So I've met some of my best friends in this industry. I've also paid a lot of dumb tax and learned a lot of lessons. I see a lot of industry peers who have won awards that win the storm like myself. People know who they are because they were on this platform. And then they'll do other conferences. And there's lots of great conferences out there, but then I'll speak to them. They're like, well, I'm not doing Win the Storm anymore because it's just not for me. See, I'm a firm believer that you can never forget where you came from. And this platform has been established, whether people agree with every single thing or not. Nobody will ever like everything. If you come to Win the Storm and you go with the mindset that you're doing a plug and play mindset, I'm going to meet XYZ amount of people I've never spoken to before. I'm going to pick up 2 or 3 things that'll scale my business and immediately implicate in my business as soon as I get home, and just take the cynical bullshit and shelf it and be there to actually make money and to grow, you will grow. And so I'll always be a huge advocate of this platform, always.
Yeah, I think, when we first launched Win the Storm conference, at the same time I launched SVGUniversity, you're talking on that, this is back in 2013. Our first show was 50 people, which half of them were my buddies I used to compete against. Come together and say, hey, let's talk about how we make some more money in this business. And then it evolved, the next year was a couple hundred. Then, the first big one I think was we did Vegas was 750 in 2016. 2017, Miami, 1,500. 2018, back to Vegas, a couple thousand. Move up a couple years in New Orleans. I think we had 4,500 right out of COVID. Last year, 7,000 in Dallas. And so, we learned a lot of things along the way. Look, I think we were the first conference and platform to bring the Storm guys together. I think people know that. To really bring these guys together. Now, it doesn't mean we're always going to get along, but a lot of guys have come through there. And I think prior to that, because I've been in this industry since 1999, and as an owner, 2001. But the first, that 12, 13 years as a contractor, brick and mortar, guys didn't get together in conferences and talk and share ideas and information, and there weren't virtual training platforms. This was a different time back then. Hell, 99 was before Google Earth. Yeah. But no arrows, still measuring roofs.
2009 when I started is completely different. So you take 10 more years off of that, I can only imagine.
And I think any time, now we brought solar in, all that kind of stuff. So we're always trying to make it better, stronger, faster. Yeah. I think anytime you do something earth-shaking in an industry, and you're new and you're succeeding at it, people are, I believe in free enterprise. People are gonna copy your model or duplicate it with their little niche, which I think is fine. I'd promote them if they wanted me to. Sometimes I do. I think there's some folks out there that copy people's stuff and then have a bad habit of, in the gossip channel, then talking smack about where they got their own idea from to begin with. But I think that's everywhere. I think humans in every industry do this kind of stuff. Yeah, I think it's part of business. I kind of laugh about it. I put my head down and just jump into things like this, learn new stuff, try to bring new stuff back to the conference to my own platform. And if I'm still learning new stuff 22 years later, like I did this last week, but now I'm talking about emergency mitigation, fire, water, smoke, which is a $20 billion sector. I knew a little bit about it before, but not like this last week, and not now doing this deal with Chambers 911. There's always something for people to learn.
Yeah.
And I think if you just focus on finding those new nuggets and be willing to share them like with what you do, I think people tend to follow that path. You know, they
Yeah.
follow people that just move, that are bold. And if you're sticking your head in the ground, you got time to sit and talk about other people and blackball and blah, blah, blah. I mean, come on. You can't be that busy.
Well, what you've done really, really well is you've kept everything very fresh. As things evolve, you're evolving. Like you just said, this was just a storm conference. When I started going to it, it was a storm conference, right? Hurricane hail. Now you got solar. Now you got mitigation. You've had the university. It's always growing, that's the definition of entrepreneur, right? Find out what works, try a bunch of different shit. You fail a few of them, some of it works, and then you put it to work and keep on growing. The other thing that I think you've done very, very well is you don't let the stupid bullshit stop you or bother you. I've never seen you in my relationship that I've had with you allow the gossip or the bullshit to slow you down. Yeah. It's like you just don't have time for it. And then look at all the stuff you're always doing. It's like you just don't let it bother you, which is really good because
Dimitri's YouTube videos.
It doesn't matter whose it was.
They don't realize it's attention. You know, negative attention is marketing. You don't get Gary Vee 101.
If you don't have any haters, you haven't made it.
Right.
Bottom line. But the thing is, a lot of people would take that and it would shut them down for a couple days, or it would mess their. I've never seen you skip a beat when it has anything to do with that. So that's pretty cool. I can appreciate that.
You just put your head down and work. I think if you're really out there doing what you're doing and create new stuff, I think people recognize that. And what else can you do? This is like stuff like this interests me. Going out there, learning something new, helping people, and then bringing that as a revenue. In this situation, no one's going to make money in that place. But what you learn there about emergency mitigation and floods can be carried back to places where you can make a lot of money. Like when the Cat 3 hit South Florida, which I believe it is in September, by the way. It's coming up, guys.
So.
I've been predicting it.
I'm ready.
Now, I could be off a couple weeks, but I got a bet going with about 100 guys in Florida right now that's going to hit within 100 miles north or south of Fort Lauderdale, and I'm basing that on a loop current, which is sitting there. Now, I could be wrong, but, there's probably a greater than 50% probability based on a loop current, which I don't know what the loop current is. Yeah, it goes, the water's warmer, about 300, 400, 500 feet deeper in a loop current path than the typical 100 feet in the Gulf and then also on the east side of Florida. So it simply means a tropical storm or a Cat 1, if it hits the loop current, it spins up to a 3, 4, 5 like kerosene on fire, just like it did with Ida and Katrina. And it happens to be sitting in front of Fort Lauderdale, which is, I always think about these things, like if we throw a conference, where are they going to have fun, with a lot of fun stuff to do on the ocean? Was there a probability of some kind of large catastrophe? Not that I wanted to hit, but is it going to probably, our job is also preparation. People be like, oh, you're predicting a Cat 3. Do you want a hurricane to happen? No, I don't want to have a hurricane to happen, but part of the job of being in storm restoration is to predict and prepare so you can prepare for your customers under MSA contracts or residential homeowners, or mobilize your forces ahead of time. So no, we don't want a hurricane to happen, but they come every year. It'd be good if somebody could predict them in some capacity. And we knew that Gulf Stream situation, which the loop current was strong in, for Ida, for example. It was sitting there in the Gulf 2 years in a row. That's why Laura and all those hurricanes popped up, because it had that loop current sitting out in front of Louisiana. And then right after our conference, Ida hit, but it spun up to a Cat 5 out of nowhere. Now, I didn't know it was going to hit there, but I knew something was going to happen in the Gulf, which made New Orleans a good prospect based on a loop current. Same thing we think about Fort Lauderdale. And if it does hit, guys, we'll be heavy into the build process by, if it hits in September or October, November, December, January, February, March, that's about when you start building. You got to get out there, emergency repair a city for the first 3 to 6 months. Florida's getting all kinds of litigation and Senate Bill 2B and 4B and all these political issues. Great time to bring all that stuff on stage at the Winter Storm Conference. You're going to see new debates. Now, I know Hoteling's coming back to do some stuff on stage, and I know we got some different players now in Florida. Very similar issues to UPA. They're just under different Senate bills, called different things, but they're about silencing contractors, handcuffing some of the policyholder attorneys now in Florida, meaning they can't move like they used to move on AOB, and stuff that I believe is restrictive to both constitutional rights, but also to educating and maneuvering on a free enterprise basis to engage, contract, and proceed with work to help somebody rebuild their house. I mean, it's silly all the stuff that gets passed, but you'll see some of those issues laid up on stage. We'll have another 100 breakout sessions of all kinds. You want to learn about solar? We have ballroom set up. You're going to have there's a solar boot camp. You learn everything you want to learn about solar. We'll have another ballroom space, everything in the emergency mitigation space. You guys probably be in there with some of the stuff UT and W do with the TPO, loose lay, right? That's part of that. There'll be different sections there. We have roofing, storm restoration, solar, emergency mitigation, continuing education credits, and then just a hodgepodge of stuff. Now that's in the ballrooms. That's the day before the show opens. So your diehards that want to come and really get certified in emergency mitigation by the IICRC, or get PE credits for some attorney firm, or learn more about emergency mitigation, or solar, or coding. Maybe you want to do coatings. We do coatings? We do coatings.
Yeah.
That ballroom space is full. Now, there'll still be breakouts in ballroom space. We just won't run them concurrently with the main conference. So when you really look at it, it's a massive educational piece this year. But if you don't want to do that, you can still come there and have fun and network and just meet new players that you need to meet. So we call it the Industry Rolodex. And then we make it fun. I won't lie, we make it fun. We bring in some keynote speakers. We have some networking parties at night. We do the industry award night, because I think most of these guys that work their butts off all year, like I do, and would like to come to a place for 3 days and learn some stuff,
Learn
and
and
also
hang
have
out.
a little fun with some guys that they meet and some gals they meet, and that's where camaraderie comes in. And I think between the entertainment side, the education side, and really the networking, there's guys that come to our show that never ever go to conference. Have been in this business industry as long as I have, 20, 30 years. They just come to meet a new sub, meet a new prime contractor, meet someone like you. So I think as long as you keep bringing that new stuff and that new education and those new technology partners, like the solar stuff. We even got an EV car coming on the floor, manufacturer inventor out of Palm Beach. It's got a binary battery that can charge the house. So we'll have a little house in the center of the floor. You got the metal roof, the solar panel, the car, the house, and it's a complete smart home system. And I think that's where these industries are growing. Roofing, storm restoration, and solar are going to become synonymous here in a couple of years. And I think we've been the nucleus of that the last 2 years. And you're going to see it come together at the Winter Storm Conference and Trade Show, the nation's largest roofing, solar, and storm restoration conference in a $100 billion industry. And bringing those three together and seeing a synergy between them, that's really cool. How the solar financing works to help the roofing and all kinds of stuff. So, and we're excited, man. We're excited to have you.
That'll be fun. It's gonna be a good few days.
Ready to get on stage and
Always.
dance around and scream and
Get everybody hype.
come on in.
Get everybody hype.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get them ready to learn.
Well, I know you came into town, Kaylee and your son. You guys spent some time with family, and
Yeah.
good deal. I'll be in Dallas next week. I'm going to be back in Dallas.
Yep.
Got a little thing planned on Friday I'll invite you to. We're going to do a little awareness for these flood victims. We had to do an emergency mitigation lunch and learn. And then we might have a solar thing there if you guys want to learn about solar. I think Friday next week in Colony, Texas.
Okay.
Up there in the north part of, is it Frisco or?
It's
North side of Dallas.
northwest of
Yeah.
Frisco, Allen.
So I'm coming to Dallas, bringing some friends. Jonathan, come up, play some golf with us.
Sounds good.
See you soon.